Hello everyone, the Clouds here, and today guys I'm going to review a Megabloks Neo Shifters set released in 2007, and it's going to be the Duneskiff shifter from the Templar side. So yes, for those who are not aware of this theme, well, it's a science fiction theme from Megabloks. So we have two sides of big robots, if I can call them like that, are fighting each other for some resources. I think it's water, but well, I'm not really sure. And well, the good guys are called the Paladin, and the bad guys are called the Templar. So that said, well, the first wave of Neo Shifters was just 4 robots, and then for the second wave they decided to also go with some vehicles, and the Duneskiff shifter is one of these. So that said, here's the box. As you can see, it's pretty cool in terms of design, really a cool packaging, but well, I think you're used with Megabloks, you're used to some interesting packaging, which really pop out on the toy store's shelves. So yes, pretty cool. All, as you can see, a little metallic texture and stuff like that. Well, at least in terms of colors. And of course you got the set here, and the fact that it can transform, because yes, one of the main points of Neo Shifters is that the vehicle, or the robots of course, can transform into a sphere, into a ball. So well, that said, it's here to show you the transformation in like 3 steps. You can see also the top of the box, which is in hard plastic and not in a, yes, like that, which can be opened like that, and it's pretty cool. Once again, it really gives you a feeling to have really a nice box, which was well thought and well designed. And the back also is pretty, as you can see. There is nothing really, there is no real tons of information, so it's quite cool. Just the transformation once again, and the modified Zamora launcher. Well, we're gonna talk about that later on, which is here. Also the other set of the wave, so the 4 robots and the 3 other vehicles. That said, let's move on to the instruction booklet, which might seem quite small, but in fact it's these types of papers that you unfold, and then you end with something like the size of a world map. So I'm not going to unfold it right now because it's not really useful, but you will just have to know that on one side you got of course the instructions for the set, and on the other side you got the instruction to transform the set into a ball. Well, and I might need the instruction booklet for this step because, well, I'm just a sucker at transforming things, so well, I might have forget by now how to transform this guy. But let's move on and talk about the set, and first the minifigs, because yes, Neo Shifters got some nice minifigures right there, so I'm just going to do a little turn around. So of course they're supposed to represent little bots. Of course there's also really a complete storyline about Neo Shifters, which yeah, I might not find it, but there was a comic released some time ago which explained you all the storyline, and it was really quite well done, but I do not happen to have yes, excuse me. So just a little extra, excuse me. Yeah, this free comic, which explains you the storyline of the Neo Shifters, and it's quite interesting and quite complex, plus it's nicely drawn. And so yes, let's go back to the minifigs. So well, as you can see, it's got some interesting design, maybe apart the shoulder, which has a little too high, but that's because of course it can also transform into a ball, so that's why. And then it also means why it's got so many articulations. So it got one ball joint on the head, which means it can turn the heads on the way you want. It got one little ball joint on the shoulders also, right there. So of course it's a little thick, so with my big fingers you will not really be able to see anything, but at least I will try my best to show you the most of the little guys. Excuse me. The end can be turned, so just 1 point of rotation per the end, and as you can see it's put on the side, so it's quite weird to manipulate. Then you got 1 rotation point on the waist part, which is quite useful if you want to make some pose like it is jumping on the side or stuff like that. Also, you got 1 ball joint right there, as you can see. Then 1 articulation point on the knee here, which is just 1 rotation point, and finally 1 last little ball joint for his feet. And that's also ears right there, and also it comes with 2 guns, which looks like that, and which are pretty cool, I guess. The second gun is exactly the same, and well, now it really seems to be quite badass. Yeah, like that, like that. So yeah, it's pretty nice, and well, you can, like I said, transform also into a ball. So I'm going to make him to transform him, because I know how to transform him quite easily. So first you have to turn this part right there, the waist part, like that. Then you got to move the head on the back, right there. So excuse me with my big fingers. Then you have to move the little hands on the insides of the arm, like that. Then move the arms just right there, so in this little hole right here. So I will put the arms like that, as you can see. And finally, I'm going to well, turn the feet like that, and finally I just have to move the legs up right there. And here we go, I've got a little ball-shaped guy. So of course it's maybe not a perfect sphere or rounded shape, but at least it works and it can roll. So well, you can't really ask more from that. So yeah, of course you can still try to make a better shape with the guy, but I think it will it works just fine. It works just fine. So that's the little guy. Now let's move on to the vehicle itself. So first, well, the vehicle is divided into 2 main sections. So we're going to I'm going to build the first one, which begin with this big frame part, which as you can see is full of little pinholes right there, and also this type of holes also on the side, as you can see, because many people complained at the time that Megabloks was trying to rip off Bionicle, which is in fact quite wrong, because of course they can transform in ball, so like the Baroque, which were released in 2002, but I think Lego is not the first toy manufacturer to make some toy which transform into a ball, seriously. And then also the no shifters do not have any ball joints, which is really one of the Bionicle trademarks. So seriously, for me, at the time it was really closer to Transformers than to Bionicle, and even Transformers got really different designs than the Neo Shifters. So, well, stop claiming rip-off and stuff like that. I think Megabloks done quite different thing with Neo Shifters, which were not done by other manufacturers. And well, that means that most of the articulation here are just rotation point, and also the attach are mostly pins, in fact. And it's quite different from usual Lego techniques used on the Bionicle toy line. So that said, we're going first to link the glass right here, which is a windshield if you prefer. And so, as you will notice, all the parts are linked on this type of orange part, which got 1 point of rotation and which can be linked right there. Like that. And that's all, in fact, all the parts are going to come together in a real simple way. So now let's, oh yes, and for the color scheme you're gonna have some orange, black, and mostly dark gray. And here we're going to link now the wings, if I can call this like that. So looks like that. As you can see, the dark gray is really well darker, if I can say so, than the dark gray used by Lego. And so it looks pretty nice also. And you can notice this little hole right there. In fact, it's to fit this little ball, which will come as a spare ball to the launcher. Because yes, the Megabloks, well, this time quite rip off the Zamora launcher design, but you will see that they have quite improved it also. So well, but I'm going to talk about that later on. For now, just I'm just going to link the wings. And so the spare ball with a little ball in there, which is quite nice, but I would have preferred if the balls inside were a little smaller, so they can really move move in the ball easily, which is not the case here. Now I have still one hole left. It's where I'm going to link these 3 parts. So well, once again, what can I call a frame part or skeleton part, because it's whatever you want, and then this part which can be considered as panels or as armor parts. I'm just going to call this no shifters panels because, well, I used to talk about technique panels all day long. So well, I'm just going to call this armor panels. Or well, and as you can see, once again, some nice orange colors and stuff like that, which is quite cool. And well, one final part is going to be this one, where you can see some point of connection right there, and it will be linked here. And that said, I finished the upper part, if I can say so, of the little spaceship, because yes, it's quite a little, it's a flying vehicle, so yes. And now let's move on to the second part, which used this frame part, which is quite different and a little more complex, but still use the same pinholes here and also on these 4 parts right there. So well, it works quite the same as the top part. So here it's quite simple because I have to first link these parts on the side, so which are made with these articulated hinges, as you can see, which are the only ones which are really independent, because most of the parts like that, like I said, are already linked to their to other parts. So well, here it's an, if I can call this like that, it's an independent part. Then I'm going to link that to this black part, which features 2 pinholes on the side and 1 on the front. Well, it's not really a pinhole, but a modified version of it, of course. And okay. Excuse me, I'm just going to try to understand something. Oh no, excuse me. Yes, it's supposed to be like that, and this part here, I guess, is supposed to be like that. Yes, excuse me. So yeah, I'm going to link that here. So here's the second wing, but it's the same. And like that. So I hope I put this thing in the right order, because in the right way, because I have the things that I put them in the wrong way. So I'm just going to check really closely, really quickly, excuse me, on these things to be sure I'm going to make the right thing, because if not, well, it will be a little problem for the transformation. And yes, I screwed up. So here we go. Excuse me. So I link this part on the side. Now I'm going to link this little part, which will be used as a seat for the minifig. It will be linked right there. And then I'm going to link the guns on this little hose on the side, which is quite useful, in fact, to have really all the parts well on the set, and not some parts which are still the leftover. Right there. Like that. And now I'm going, yes, to talk about the Zamora launcher modified. So you have to know that Lego released that in 2006. So it was made of like 4 parts, this big one, and then this part with the flexible axle right there, which allows you to, of course, fire to launch the ball over. So yeah. And then Megabloks in 2007, excuse me, with the snow shifters, decided to release their version, which is this one. Of course, well, it's quite close. I'm going to admit that it's of course quite close, but there is one thing, because of course it's smaller. Also, it used just 2 parts, and also one last thing is that many people complained in 2006 about Lego about the fact that the Zamora launcher, well, when you turn this down, it falls off. And of course, when you have some fun with your figures and you play with that, most of the time these things fall down, make an horrible noise, and go to all over the place under your desk, and it's really hard to go after it. And well, Megabloks improved this design, and as you can see, now it can fall. Even if I try, it won't fall, because they just add 2 parts of plastic. So of course, I know that Lego is all about compatibility, so the way the parts are supposed to mix well together. So of course I can understand why they did not choose to put something to block the parts, but I think that Megabloks did a quite nice job to improve the design, make it smaller and still yet effective, because it works just fine, in fact, and even maybe better than the Lego one, because you don't have to push that much to launch the ball. So yes, of course it's quite a rip-off, but at least it's improved. So well, it's better than just a ripoff, which is just bad. So I think they've done quite a nice job on this idea. And well, here we are nearly done, because as you can see, I have well, maybe first to put this off, which was of course linked right there. I'm going to link the two parts together, and then I will modify the shape of the vehicle to make it look like what it's supposed to look like, because here, as you can see, I've put the part the way I want, but it's not supposed to go this way. So excuse me, I just have to link these two things together, because yeah, takes some time. So yeah, because there is like 3 pins to put in 3 pin holes, and it's quite a little hard. So that said, I'm going now to well, maybe first off, I'm going to untransform the guy. Well, no. You know what? I'm going to transform the ship. So this part are supposed to go right there. Well, not transform it, but put him in his in the shape is supposed to be. So this part are going to be put on the back. This part right there are going to be put like that, and these ones are going to be put on the sides. And here you go. You got the ship, the space ship, or the flying vehicle nearly finished. Now I just have to link the guy in there, and that will be all. And after that, of course, I will transform the vehicle in, once again, a little ball. Right there. And as you can see, this guy got like a square hole, and here he got a pin right there, which quite pop out. So of course, the two will be linked by this way. And now I just have to move down the this part, and here we go. The vehicle is finished. I don't think there was nothing really to add to that. I'm just going to do a turnaround, and that will be all. So yeah, it's really looking like that. I just check on the box, and here we go. So I'm going to transform it right now, and then well, we'll see how it works. So first I have to move this part like that on the back. Then I'm going to take this part and put them in this way, like this. Then I'm going to take this part here and move them up, just like that. Oh, excuse me, I just totally forgot, but of course I'm supposed to take this thing, like that. So yeah, it's linked like that, and now I'm going to move this part here, close them, but I'm going to make them go a little excuse me, it's quite hard to try to show you at the same time. So I'm going to put this part like that, up, right there. Then put this part on the side, and as you can see, this part will be put inside the part right there. I'm going to do the same thing with the, so of course there is tons of rotation point everywhere, so sometimes it just won't work, like that, right there. Oh, just stay linked, yes. Oh. And then the final part, as you can see, I have 2 points of connection right there, and here 2 holes. Well, this means I'm going to link these things together. Like that, or not? Yes? Yeah, so excuse me, and no, it's finished! Ta-da! You got your ship transformed into a ball, and well, it rolls! So that's all for this set, guys. So I'm going to do a little sum up about this Duneskiff shifter, well, flying vehicle. So overall, well, first maybe the minifig, yes. So the minifig is quite great. So of course it's quite also weird design in terms of our overall shape and some articulations, but that's because it's supposed to be transformed. But apart from that, it's still pretty well articulated and also features 2 guns, which adds to the overall playability. Plus, of course, it can transform into a ball, which is also quite nice and can be easily done. So I found the minifigs pretty interesting and pretty charismatic. Really some nice little robots and also pretty articulated, which I really like about action figures, I have to admit. It's the fact that they can do many actions with many articulations and still, of course, looking good, because when there is too much articulations, sometimes it just looks bad in terms of design. But, well, here I'm going to go a little sidetrack, so let's recap on this set. So that was for the minifig. Then you got the vehicle. So, well, of course, because of how it's made with the of this frame part, sometimes on some if you look it at some angle, it will look bad. It will not really look good, I have to admit. But overall, I think it's pretty okay. It works quite fine. And then in terms of playability, well, it's quite great, because I did not mention that, but of course each part is quite linked with 2 points of articulation. For example, the wing is linked with this point right there, and also this one. So this means you can kind of make the shape you want out of the ship. If you want to make put the wings like that, you can do that and change the position of the cockpit. So it's quite, in fact, a customizable vehicle, because you can move the parts the way you want. And in fact, Megabloks themselves did that, because if you look on the back of the box, you will see this vehicle, and as you can see, in fact, this vehicle is exactly the same as this one in terms of frame and construction, but it got, of course, a different color shade, and also it is put in a different way. So this means if you want this design, you can make it with this vehicle. So, well, this means it's add to the playability, because, of course, you can make the shape you want, and of course, you can also transform it into a ball, which works just fine, like you just see right now. Also, the Zamora launcher, which is improved, is quite nice, but not really useful in this set, because, well, it's put on the back, so of course you're supposed to fire the ground, I guess, but it's not really useful. I think it's a little more helpful on some robot-sized guy, and not just on the vehicles, or at least not on this one. And apart from that, I think that's also, it's a pretty nice vehicle. It's a good idea for Megabloks to have done this type of vehicle. I think it's quite original to make a vehicle this size with this type of parts. So they quite succeed in. Of course, there is still some little problems. For example, like the articulation of the guys becomes loose after some time, or the overall design, which sometimes just didn't look that good. But overall, I think it's a pretty good choice. Of course, it's not really a must-have. It's not really useful in your overall toy collection, I guess. But for those who are fan of no shifters, of course, it's a great addition to your collection. For those also who are a fan of little space vehicle or stuff like that, it can be quite interesting. And for those who want to discover to discover the Neo Shifters theme without going through the purchase of a robot first, well, it can be also a good idea. But still, I think if you want to discover the Neo Shifters theme, I still think that a robot will be better, because of course, well, they are the main element of the theme. So yeah, the vehicles are a little the parts on the side, if I can say so. So yeah, but still a pretty nice vehicle. So buy it or not, it's like you want. It's not really needed, but at least it's needed. Excuse me, needed or needed. Yeah, I do not know. Yes, it's not really needed, but at least it works, and that's still quite nice. So that was my review on the Duneskiff shifter from the No Shifters theme, released in 2007. If you have so yes, first I hope, of course, you enjoyed this review and this set. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to ask them, of course, on the comments section of this video. And that said, guys, see you later for another. Excuse me. Just stay still. Alright, it won't yeah. So see you later for another video review. Bye bye.